Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the returning Pro Wrestling Report Primetime. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Octavius, the Tiberius Hero.
Feels good to be back.
It feels damn good to be back. Our studio's now back and up and running after the floods, the great flood of 2010 through Milwaukee.
I love the new additions. The new vending machines with the lukewarm soda.
It was a rib.
It wasn't. Absolutely.
A lot to talk about. A big news week in the world of professional wrestling come off the heels of TNA's Hardcore Justice pay-per-view just last Sunday, going into WWE SummerSlam this Sunday, and in the meantime, and in between time, a bit of a Twitter scandal.
Wow, right? Hot news, but did we fall for the Twittergate?
No, we didn't.
No, we did not. We did not report any of it. Had to get our facts straight first.
Let's first talk about TNA's Hardcore Justice pay-per-view this past Sunday night. David, I don't know if you got a chance to tune into my wrap-up show, post-show of TNA's Hardcore Justice. I enjoyed the show. If you don't look at it from a professional wrestling fan standpoint, if you weren't looking for wrestling, if you were looking for an entertaining couple of hours of TV, I think TNA Hardcore Justice delivered that. Now, keep in mind, though, David, going into it, I don't think any of us ever had anything favorable to say about the show. But coming out of it, I found myself entertained.
I got to first get in the mode. Cal, please bring the props.
Senior intern Cal.
Yeah. If I'm going to do
worked real hard getting the studio back up and running.
Well, yeah. If I'm going to do anything hardcore, I got to have I got to have the gimmick. I got to have the look. I got to get the whole thing going here. There. See? Now I can do the whole hardcore.
But there were no chains involved.
There wasn't?
I don't think so.
I was only.
There was a chain on our.
I was only half paying attention. Half paying attention. Cal, of course, hit the buy button without me knowing about it again.
Of course.
$40 out the window. For the non-wrestling action, I thought it was passable, tolerable. I thought my boy Al Snow stole the show when he did his little promo saying,
careful.
They can't use the T-shirts. They can't even use the guy. We're so sued. I thought that was great. But boy, if you tuned in to Hardcore Justice, and the very first guy you see come through the walkway, the ramp, is Tracy Smothers and the FBI.
What's wrong with that?
And Simon Diamond is like...
But
I like all the guys, but wow.
But that was the reason for the show. I mean, it was a ECW throwback, if you will.
It was brutal, man.
Let's go over it match by match and talk about some of the highlights and the lowlights of this pay-per-view. I thought Taz opening the show discussing what ECW was and what the intent of the night was and what ECW meant set the stage perfectly for the night that would follow, and a very good use of Taz, who is one of those defining people of ECW.
Why doesn't Taz get in the gym for a couple weeks, try to do something, and be a part of the show?
Well, he's injured, though. Remember, his neck's all jacked.
There were guys wrestling on that pay-per-view that should be in the ER somewhere, intensive care unit. I mean, really, how can he not really be a part of that?
But he was.
I wouldn't say they all worked
Who
very
else would have
hard.
done commentary? Couldn't have had today do it all by himself.
They could have found somebody else to come in there and do it.
Cyrus would have been a good choice. Don Callis?
Right, exactly. They could have brought him in.
Mm-hmm.
I think Taz missed the boat by getting on there. He could have had his farewell, too.
First matchup, as you said, David, was the reunited FBI versus Johnny Swinger, Simon Diamond, and Kid Cash.
Team Walmart. Well, all three of
them. Kid
them...
Cash was a pleasant surprise.
Oh, yeah.
Pleasant surprise.
All three of them don't look like they belong together.
Right.
It's like they picked out three random guys.
How about the dance-off?
Yeah. Put it this way. Anybody in the back that had a match, well, every match followed that, obviously, afterwards. But to see Tracy Smothers swimming on the canvas in the middle of the ring, they all had to feel pretty good that nothing else they could do could be worse than that.
FBI walks out with the win in that matchup overall.
I was glad.
It was an entertaining match.
You laughed.
I did.
Like, intern Cal watched. He's like, Dad, who are those guys?
But here's the thing. All right, there's so many people.
Random.
There are so many people panning this pay-per-view, saying it's a bunch of old has-beens. And how many of the people who are panning the pay-per-view ever really saw ECW?
Most of them. Half of them.
I don't
Three
think so.
quarters of them.
We're talking 9-10 years ago, David.
You know
I don't
what?
think so.
We'll have to do a poll on the website.
Oh, we
Find
did.
out.
We did. We'll get the
A new
results
one.
of that poll as to the thoughts
Okay.
of the pay-per-view
Look,
overall.
listen. I'm not trying to jump ahead, but I am for a second.
Uh-huh.
When 47-year-old Al Snow is one of the best-looking guys, physique-wise, build-wise on the pay-per-view, I'll put Rhino and RVD, maybe Rhino ahead of him, and maybe RVD. He's one of the top three. What does that tell? This is why nobody wants these guys anymore.
All right.
None of them look good. None of them are
What do you mean
TV
nobody
quality.
wants them? Where are they going to go? ROH? No. WWE? No.
Yeah, so what does that mean? Nobody wants them.
Next matchup.
Yeah,
And again,
you-
back
you
to the
know
point of
I'm
that
right.
match. No, back to the point of that match. People think ECW, they think hardcore. They think blood, they think chairs, they think chains, they think all that stuff.
Exactly,
But
see?
I think it's important to the point earlier that to remind everybody that ECW in its original state was about so much more than that. It was about the unique, interesting things that you would see, many of them funny ha-ha kind
Cheese
of things.
graters. Staple guns.
We'll get to New Jack in a minute. We then saw comments from Todd Gordon, Pitbull, and the Blue Meanie.
I wish Meanie would have been there. Out of all the guys that weren't there, I wish Meanie would have been there.
Wedding, honeymoon, funeral,
Just,
something.
he's on a vacation.
As we talked about earlier, that promo with Al Snow, which was gold.
It was
Absolute
fabulous.
gold. And what they did very well all night was talk about ECW without talking about ECW. What they did very well all night was talk about the challenges that they had with some of the names and some of the talents and some of the marks and trademarks that WWE owns of
They
ECWs.
own everything.
Exactly. But they did a good
They
job
own
dancing
balls.
around it. Yes, they do. They did a good job dancing around it, I thought. Next
The only one that
matchup.
did a good job dancing around was Tracy Smothers. That was about it.
Next matchup was C.W. Anderson versus Too Cold Scorpio. David, this was actually a solid match.
Scorpio can still go.
Oh, absolutely, he can.
I mean, I got some tweets that people say, hey, Rashi and Too Cold Scorpio should be a tag team together.
Why?
I don't know. They just hinted at it.
I don't see that as a natural
Scorp-
pairing.
I don't either. Well, because Rashi can't dance. So he could pick up.
Can't?
No. Well, have
He
you ever
begged to
danced with
differ.
him?
I've never danced with him, but I
All
think
right,
he
then.
begged to differ.
Oh, well, believe me, Rashi's a little hot about the things Eric Bischoff said lately.
As you heard last night on the 540 on
Wow.
ESPN radio show, as a matter of fact, radio returns to our regular time slot Monday nights. Coming up this week, a special guest, which we'll announce shortly, appearing on that program to talk about a special appearance coming up soon here to the Milwaukee area. RVD and the whistleblower himself, Bill Alfonso, are then backstage. Bill Alfonso, probably the most obnoxious manager of all time, but still great at it.
You know, I love Bill Alfonso,
But
can you tell he misses being on TV? He's the only guy that does an interview with Rob Van Dam, talking to Rob Van Dam, staring at the camera the whole time. Did you notice that?
you're just picking everything apart.
No, I'm not. Well, that's what I do, first of all. If you don't believe me, just ask everyone down below. They'll tell you. But it's like, I mean, it's like some of these guys forgot that they used to be stars, and they're just trying to grasp on whatever last bit they can get.
Mm-hmm.
Just my opinion.
All right. PJ Polacco, formerly known as Just Incredible, and the fans in the Impact Zone, the Extreme Zone that night, did indeed remind everyone that he was just incredible.
He wore the shirt to the ring. How did,
He
how did they
absolutely
get past
did.
that?
That was the ECW version of the shirt, though.
And who owns the ECW?
But who knows who owns those little pieces of ECW?
Oh, Vince bought the whole catalog.
So he can wear any shirt he wants.
Yeah, it's his likeness on it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't get mad about
He
it.
took on Stevie Richards with Nova and BW 2.0.
Right. They're out there in
That was a bit of a stretch, but it played homage. It
He
played
did a
tribute.
good job
Yeah,
of meanie.
absolutely.
He really did.
Mhm.
I was happy for
Better or
Kelly.
worse than fake Diesel, fake Razor Ramon?
Better.
Better?
Better. Yes.
Stevie Richards winning that matchup with the super kick. Afterwards, Polacco attacking Richards and in to make the save as a Singapore cane was used, taking a little bit of exception to that, was the Sandman who entered. It was an abrupt ending to that particular segment. It didn't seem like everything went as planned, but then again, when you're dealing with the Sandman, that could be expected.
What a letdown.
Really?
He just pops up, no music, No beers, no nothing.
He should have done the beer can.
Should have done something.
Made himself bleed.
I will say this. I heard that they turned away about 1,000 people that night.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously there was a lot of interest in the free show.
And I think it's important to note, as you talk about they turned away a lot of people, the people that were in there, they're the ones who, as equal as the performers, made this show.
Big time.
If that was typical Impact fare, if that were typical theme parkers, if you will, in the Impact Zone at Universal Studios,
They would have been scared.
they would have been terrified, and they wouldn't have reacted nearly as favorably as those ECW diehards that were in the venue. Without them, David, without them, I don't think this show would have even been passable.
I agree. The atmosphere is what made the show.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great atmosphere. Great lighting. They did everything well that way.
And they did, you talk about great lighting, they did do a very good job of making this feel special or different.
They made it feel like you were back in a bingo hall. They did. They dimmed the lights. It was dark. You couldn't see the $1 million set.
It was a three-way dance as announced by returning ring announcer Stephen DeAngelis. Good touch. Again, making it feel special, making it look different. Brother Runt versus Al Snow versus Rhino, David. Al Snow, I think I pinned first.
Well, you know what? Fortunately, it was a non-title GLCW match because having Brother Runt as my champ would not have gone over very well. But, you know, Dixie and I couldn't agree on compensation to have my title be on her pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
For the amount of time in the game, I thought it was a solid match. I think it told a good story. I wish the outcome would have been different. You know, like Cal said, I can't believe Old McDonald beat Al Snow.
Oh, you had a firm.
You know, but wow.
Axel Rotten versus Cajones. I'm sorry, Axel Rotten and Cajones versus the
just
Dudleys.
say it for what it is.
Balls Mahoney.
They can't sue us. We're untouchable.
Versus the Dudleys. Now, the best part about this, David, by and far,
There's only one good part of it.
you will say one thing. I will say it was the return of Joel Gertner.
I will say it was a lightsaber duel.
Of course he would. Joel Gertner is the lyrical miracle.
Joel Gertner was great. He was.
It's that kind of stuff that really I watched it and I genuinely popped. I genuinely laughed. I genuinely enjoyed his delivery of that and went back and if you haven't, check out at pwrshow.com the best of Joel Gertner. About 16 minutes of Joel Gertner.
You loved the poker face.
Yeah, it was a good line.
It was a great line.
Joel Gertner coming out with the Dudleys and again, not expected. Nice touch. Well done. Well delivered.
Was Joel Gertner ever really with the Dudleys?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, big time.
I don't remember. It's been such a long time.
So you're that guy.
I haven't watched it in, 10, 15 years?
To my point of earlier. Gertner owned it,
Listen,
by the way.
I'm a wrestling opinionist of current wrestling.
Brother Ray, Bubba Ray, announces that it is going to be a South Philadelphia street fight.
You know what they should have done? It should have been an OBT street fight.
Oh, yes. They could have had whores around the
Could
ring.
have had hookers and pimps in the ring.
Yes.
Would have been great.
And Church's Chicken could have sponsored it.
Wow.
Okay, listen. In Orlando,
Wow.
Florida, the only place I've seen Church's Chickens are on OBT. You don't see very many of them anymore
I see a couple,
on OBT.
I guess. And for those of you that don't know, OBT is
Orange Blossom Trail. It's a road that runs pretty much through Orlando from the good to the bad.
it is very cultural. I guess you could say.
Indeed it is.
Mm-hmm.
This one was all over the Extreme Zone. As you said, we did see the lightsabers, and we even saw the obligatory flaming table.
Yeah, I thought the match was crap.
The Dudleys win. The match was crap. There's no
was.
doubt about that.
It was
but it was
bad.
entertaining, David. Why can't even you,
What
as
was
a
it
current day
entertaining about?
wrestling,
What was entertaining about?
you go
it?
from Gertner to the lightsabers,
Okay.
which was ridiculous,
Okay,
to
whoa,
the
hold
flaming
on,
table.
hold on.
It was
Okay.
fun.
Gertner, non-wrestling,
It was part of the presentation.
lightsabers, complete gimmick,
Part of the presentation.
flame table gimmick.
Part of the presentation.
Everything in the between there.
Right, but you can't have
The
every
greatest tag team in wrestling, the Dudley Boys,
self-proclaimed.
Team 3D,
Self-proclaimed.
didn't have the greatest tag team match. Right? The chair shots
It wasn't a
were
great
weak,
match. I never
the
said it was
punch
a great
shots
match.
were
I said it
weak.
was fun. It was entertaining. I enjoyed it.
I'm glad you did. You must have watched it for free on a stream, huh? I got stuck paying for that crap.
I ordered and paid for the pay-per-view.
Don't get hot. I'm just saying. You know?
Raven versus Tommy Dreamer, one of the headlining matchups.
Yes, it was.
Raven wins that match. This was a bit of a bloodbath. One part was very uncomfortable for me to watch, though, and that was when Dreamer wrapped her, actually I don't remember who did it, but when the barbed wire got wrapped around the head.
Of Raven.
Yeah, Raven. Yeah, that was, ouch.
You know what was disturbing for me? Is Tommy Dreamer puts his wife and 2 daughters in the front row to watch him
but
get
who's his wife?
Doesn't matter. His 2 baby girls were sitting ringside watching their daddy get his teeth
Mick
kicked
Foley's
in.
did when he got 28 chair shots to the head at the Royal Rumble
and
1999.
And how did that work out for him?
Not so well.
No, not at all.
Dewey was a little scared.
He was extremely scared. You know what? I wish Tommy Dreamer would have gone over.
Speaking of Mick Foley, he attacks in this matchup. Dreamer gets handcuffed, and Beulah, the wife of Tommy Dreamer, comes in, makes the save with a low blow.
No. Her name is Teresa.
Now.
They called her Teresa on the show.
Whoa.
You think
because
Vince owns Beulah too? You think he
how
owns
could
her?
he not?
Wow. It's amazing what he owns. He is the most powerful man in wrestling.
I went out and I bought my competition. That's right. I now own WCW, ECW, and WWE. March 2001. What we neglected to mention was the returning New Jack as well. New Jack and
You know what?
Mustafa.
He saved that $40 pay-per-view for me.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
The promo in the back with
The promo
JB
in the
and
back
SoCal?
with JB
I'm
and,
sorry.
was it SoCal?
I think it was SoCal.
Yeah, it was SoCal. That was entertaining. That was funny, haha. You know what people may not have noticed was New Jack hugging Devon Dudley. They had heat. You know, New Jack did a rap album. Ripped on the Dudleys.
Yes, you did.
And they hugged each other.
At least they put New Jack in with some established stars as opposed to a upstarting young man.
Okay.
You don't remember the incident?
We can't talk about it. Vince owns that too.
The main event was RVD versus Sabu. Now, actually, going into it, the main event was RVD versus Jerry Lynn. Jerry Lynn, suffering a back injury, not able to participate. A suitable replacement was a bald Sabu.
Because Vince owns his hair.
This was a typical matchup between the two, one we've seen many a time before. That's not a bad thing, in my opinion. This match, I thought, was well done, and RVD winning that matchup, and after the match, out comes the entire locker room to celebrate, including Dixie Carter, with a Bud Light.
Yeah. You know what? RVD and Sabu, they did a good job. They really did. Obviously, they're
Especially
both really
considering
good
the
friends.
circumstances.
They're both very good friends. They both work hard together. They both want to make each other look good. The end was, I thought, rather entertaining, seeing Dixie being lifted up by Brother Ray.
Bubba. You can call him Bubba for the
Can I call him
purposes of
Bubba?
this review, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Tommy Dreamer, though, with some controversial comments, though, at the end of that pay-per-view.
hey, let me tell you something.
Tell me something.
When they got a mic, everyone goes into business for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he did.
And he said, tonight, we raised the bar. Now TNA has to, Tommy Dreamer saying, tonight, we set the bar. Now TNA has to raise it.
That was the most asinine thing I've heard Tommy Dreamer ever say.
You know, here's the thing.
He told Kurt Angle they set the bar.
Yeah.
He told Sting and Jeff Jarrett and Kevin Nash.
Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan.
OJ. Different kind of bar.
On a rope.
Why you gotta go there?
Tommy Dreamer, I don't understand his popularity.
Because
I
you know
never
what it
have.
is?
I never will.
Here's
Even
what
in
it
the
was.
ECW days, he's wrestling with a torn tricep, a broken clavicle, 12 fused vertebrae,
I'm gonna
a
explain it to
pinky
you.
toe that's broken,
I'm gonna explain
and
it to
he's
you.
still doing it.
It's because his Singapore cane match, I think he had, with, I forgot who it was with, Raven. Whereas if Dreamer lost, he would get 10 whacks with the cane. And after the first one, he goes, "Thank you, sir, may I have another?" 10 times. How will the crowd not want to get behind that guy?
That was TNA's hardcore justice. Now, going into it, we said this was not good for business for TNA. Going into it, we said, what does this say about the TNA talent? Going into it, we said, why are they dedicating an entire pay-per-view to stars of 10 years ago? Coming out of it, David Hero, what's your official opinion?
TNA lost money. They lost money on this. I hope that everyone with their hidden agenda got what they wanted. But as we saw on Impact, you know.
It ain't over.
No, it's not over.
But you know what?
But here's the thing. They're doing business the right way. Now, since they raised that bar, TNA can now knock the bar off. Because they're going to beat up. They're going to take care of business. The feud with ECW guys is not over yet. And they is not happy.
Because we still haven't seen they.
No.
Even though they's been very poorly handled by TNA.
We've hinted about they, though, a little bit.
Care to refresh the memory of the audience?
I just think it's going to be Bischoff and Hogan. Because,
Well, that's not what you said before.
well, I said Mick Foley.
You did.
And Mick was a part of it. At that moment, you thought they was the EV2, didn't we? Right?
What do you mean we? You.
Well, because you don't ever, say anything about it.
I'm just the host. I keep the show flowing.
But I think it's going to be Hogan and Bischoff as a they.
All right. Well,
Hogan is not going to want to have someone else come in that looks bigger than him. Neither is Bischoff.
a lot of comments on our Twitter account. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter. Our username is PWR Show. And you can go ahead and follow us there. And the results of the online poll for this pay-per-view, was it worth the money? About 70% said no.
Yeah, it was.
I'm sorry, did they enjoy it was the question. And about 70% said no.
Because everyone was out of shape. No one looked like how they used to look.
But who ordered this to see great wrestling?
Most of the people did, because they thought that nobody's aged. No one got, no one has deteriorated. Everyone thought they were going to get the same old guys they saw 15 years ago.
But they did.
But they didn't. They saw guys that were half of what they used to be. Some guys were 3 times what they used to be.
I think the expectations were too high.
And whose fault is that?
TNA's.
You, Tommy
What do you mean me? Going into it, I panned the
Tommy
show.
Dreamer,
I buried the show every chance
Dixie
I got.
Carter, every one of those ECW originals. It's their fault. Because they made it larger than life. And you.
Fine. You want to throw all the heat on me? Fine. Go right ahead.
Because you dump it all on me all the time. It's not my fault.
This past week,
I'm gonna Gene Snitsky ya.
we talked about following us on Twitter. Well, if you followed the real Hulk Hogan on Twitter
Wow,
earlier
brother.
this week, you heard about some very controversial things from that account. Let's give you a summary as we discussed it in great depth last night on our ESPN radio show. Remember, we returned Monday night to ESPN radio right after WWE Raw. Hulk Hogan.
Let's see if the guy said anything else.
Eric Bischoff had announced that Hulk Hogan would soon be launching a Twitter page. Well, this past Wednesday, I believe it was, Hulk Hogan launched a Twitter page. That Twitter page endorsed by Dixie Carter,
Eric Bischoff, Kevin Nash, Jeff Jarrett,
and Bubba the Love Sponge. Well,
he worked everybody.
give it a couple of hours, and you got this announcement on Hulk Hogan's Twitter account saying that he is leaving TNA Wrestling, and that he and Bischoff are done. And that spurred a lot of discussion out in the internet wrestling community about Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff and their status in TNA. The reason given was that it's time to focus on the young stars, time to focus on the right stars, time to stop marking out for the internet. All this push towards Dixie Carter. A lot of the heat as well pushed onto Uncle Eric in this situation, making some believe it may have really been Hogan. Things got a lot more interesting after that. This person, Hulk Hogan, on Twitter, said everybody in the TNA locker room was frustrated. They were getting ready to walk. They're very interested in this Wopen family promotion coming to Florida that there's been a lot of discussion about. Nothing here yet, because we're still, nothing here yet. But a lot said, a very pointed conversations, and a lot of people picking up on a lot of these malicious things said
But it's all
by
true.
this person, and that was the problem. Every word of it.
Because you and I have heard that.
Every word of it was true. Which is like, this is not some mark. This is not some fan
Someone that knows.
speaking out. This is somebody who knows, and once it was found out to not be Hulk Hogan's Twitter account, They then, whoever was on this account, said, I am a TNA employee. I am speaking for the locker room. This is how we feel.
Yeah.
TNA then subsequently took over the account and will be transferring that same account to the real Hulk Hogan as
How
of
can
last
they?
night's Impact.
How can they?
Well, you can call Twitter and figure it out.
Okay.
They have verified accounts. You know, when you become a big star, you get a
Sure.
verified account. Controversy created cash potentially in this instance because it was all the buzz
And
on Wednesday.
anyone and Bischoff was quiet about it last night or 2 nights ago. He didn't say a whole lot about it.
Well, Dixie Carter did say that it was a fake account. Hogan is not leaving TNA, and she said the extent, it's shocking how far some people will go. Now, a couple of things that were said were, listen to us. Give us a chance. Instead of telling us to step up, tell us you've made mistakes. Tell us you're focusing on the wrong talent. Tell us that you believe in us.
Mm-hmm. Well, last night we were going to announce who it is. And then
Mhm.
we got the cease and desist, which pretty much said I can't mention who it really is. When the smoke clears,
Yeah.
it's going to be amazing. It is.
Look, as you said, David, it is. We sit on a lot.
More than we should, but we have to.
And reading those tweets,
Reminded me of dinner a month ago.
it was just about verbatim
Mm-hmm.
for what was said unsolicited by several major talents in that organization.
Yeah.
As we said, a lot of discussion, including Rashi Brown's rant on Eric Bischoff last night. Pick up that show
Rashi
on
was hot.
our website, pwrshow.com. Speaking of pwrshow.com, you know, we get a lot of comments on the YouTube channel. And
We got lots of
a lot of
comments.
questions, a lot of people inquiring about things. Well, let me tell you this. We're never going to answer your questions on the YouTube channel. Okay? You must go to our website, pwrshow.com. What do we have there? All kinds of information about
We
talent.
got tons of gimmicks.
We
there.
got the schedule there of when the shows are going to be up. We got information about, we had information about the studio and why we weren't doing
Lizard
TV
Brawl
shows.
news,
All kinds of stuff.
signings.
All you need to
special
do
guests.
is troll on over to
Troll?
pwrshow.com
Why troll?
and you'll get all the information there. WWE SummerSlam is this Sunday night on pay-per-view, David.
Well, hold on. We have to answer one question here, though.
What's that?
People have been asking what happened to Linda Kay.
Linda will be,
Well,
you know
hold
what?
on. Let's not sugarcoat it. Linda came into the production studio offices and started yelling at Damien and how her countdown went when she did the last interactive. She didn't feel that Damien should have counted from 10 to 1 to let her know when to start. And she's been suspended for a month without pay.
And when Linda Kay returns, she'll be part of the all-new Primetime.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
She's going to be sitting here?
No.
Okay, good, because, there's only enough room for one diva on the show.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and clearly
Yeah.
that's me.
It is you.
Clearly that's me.
You're all pretty and everything.
Season premiere of PWR
I don't get my
Primetime
wardrobe
coming
allowance
in
anymore.
a couple of weeks. You'll be very, very interested in
A new
that.
season? Season what? What are we at now?
It'll be season 13.
13 seasons?
13 seasons. WWE SummerSlam this Sunday night on pay-per-view. David, let's talk about the matchups as
All
we know
five
them
of
now.
But this is for entertainment purposes only. I'm not
You with
gonna,
that disclaimer
I'm not
again.
going to get hooked into this deal again.
Now, I wasn't at the radio show before TNA Hardcore Justice. Did you do predictions?
Not one.
Of course you didn't. Alicia Fox
Whoa,
versus
wait a
Melina
minute.
for
Stop.
the...
Why didn't we? Only 2 matches were known.
Good point.
Yeah.
Alicia Fox versus a returning Melina for the Divas Championship. David Hero.
Alicia Fox.
Really?
Absolutely.
Doesn't all the sense in the world turn towards Melina?
No. Why? Why should she win?
Because she's back. She's hot. She's
That's
ready.
fine. Let her be back. Let Alicia Fox roll with it. She is the face of the Divas on the Raw brand right now.
Just to you or to everybody?
To everyone.
You go with Fox. I go with Fox as well in that matchup. Big Show versus the Straight Edge Society. That comprised of CM Punk, Luke Gallows, and Joey Mercury.
Straight Edge Society.
It's a handicap match.
SES. Joey Mercury. Back.
You know, not everybody can pull bald off as good as I do.
Joey Mercury and Serena do a good job.
Serena does a great job of it. Joey
Yeah.
Mercury, not so much.
You don't think so?
I don't think so at all. You know what? As we're talking about hair and such, and grooming tips from Dashing Cody Rhodes on SmackDown, I don't remember. Let's see. It was, if you picture it, Monday night,
Yeah. Alicia Fox.
WWE Raw,
Yeah. Cody was on.
United States Champion, The Miz, versus
Oh, here we go.
Evan Bourne.
Yeah, are either one of those guys?
The Miz will be. Yeah, you're right. Evan Bourne isn't on the SummerSlam card.
What's Miz doing?
He's going to be number 7 in Team WWE.
What?
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
He's got the invitation out there. He's going to let everybody know on Sunday.
No.
Yes. Yes, he will be.
You know what? It's going to be Triple H as number 7.
A lot of people
Entertainment
speculating about his
purposes
return.
only.
You still didn't talk about the match between The Miz and Evan Bourne.
I talked about it at length last night. Okay, I'll do it again one more time. Who cares?
Oh, now who cares,
Hold on.
right?
Here's the thing.
Yeah,
Think
what's
about
the
it.
thing?
No,
I'm thinking about it.
The Miz is what? Upper mid card right now? Right?
Yes.
What do you say?
I would say that for sure.
Okay, and where's Evan Bourne?
Mid card.
Mid to upper. He's
Okay.
right there also.
Okay.
Who else could Miz have beaten that would have meant as much? He's not going to beat anybody on Team Raw going into their big pay-per-view.
He beat Morrison on Tuesday on NXT.
That's different. That's 2 coaches. Nobody watches NXT. Okay? So what good does it do for...
You spin my head
Listen,
right
no.
round like an aeroplane.
So
right.
he beats who? Vladimir Kozlov? That means nothing. Santino means nothing. Goldust means nothing. They've built nobody else up for Miz to beat to make him have any more steam going into his Money in the Bank, whatever he decides to cash it in. So they had to go with the only guy that has any steam, and that's Evan Bourne. Right? You can't even say anything about that. You know I'm right.
To me, it makes sense for Big Show to win this matchup,
Man,
going up against the Straight Edge Society.
No, it doesn't make sense because the SES has been doing jobs to everybody for the past 6 months.
So why not keep going?
Because they need to start getting rolling here. They need to bring the Big Show into SES.
Well, last time you wanted somebody in SES, it was Rey Mysterio, and that didn't.
Yeah, they don't listen to me.
Speaking of Rey Mysterio, he will defend his he will try to get back the World Heavyweight Championship as he goes one-on-one with Kane. Right.
It doesn't matter.
Absolutely no interest in that match. None.
No, it's a double-headed coin. Makes some bit of difference.
Now, there's 2 variables in this SummerSlam prediction scenario here. One being Triple H, that you mentioned earlier. The other being The Undertaker.
How about Vince McMahon?
Haven't seen him since Nexus took him out.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I bring up The Undertaker is, Kane says it's Rey Mysterio who attacked The Undertaker, which, quite frankly, is comical, and put him in a vegetative
Kane
state.
is the guy that did it.
So then, of course, you're setting up the Kane Taker thing.
Right.
When does it take its start, though? Isn't this Sunday at SummerSlam, causing Kane to lose? Mysterio walks out the world champion again.
I don't know. I really don't. I'll worry about that on Monday.
I'm going to go with...
I'm going to go with Kane to win.
Kane to win?
Yeah.
Not
I'll take
place or
Kane.
show?
No, he'll win.
Yeah, I really don't know that matchup. I have just about that much interest in it. So I'm going to go for some type of interference.
Wow.
The
On a match that means nothing on the whole pay-per-view is going to have outside interference.
The WWE Championship will be on the line.
Rey
as
Mysterio drones are going to come down to the ring?
Sheamus defends against the Viper, Randy Orton.
I know. This is freaking a tough one. I'm going to go with Sheamus, though. Taking Sheamus.
I don't dispute that. I think that's
And here's why.
Smart way to play
Here's
it.
why. Because your little boy, Miz, is going to cash in that Money in the Bank and lose.
at SummerSlam.
Well, I don't know when, but he's going to lose it to Sheamus. Sheamus will beat him. You're all forgetting one very important thing. What's so funny?
Well, I want to know what we're all forgetting. That one very important
Sheamus is Triple H's boy.
thing. Mm-hmm.
Triple H doesn't like The Miz.
He has seen his meteoric rise ever since Tripp's been gone. But even with Trips being gone off TV, Trips is still heavily involved.
Yeah, so what does Trips normally do? He builds somebody up and cuts their knees off from underneath them.
Why do you build me up? The main event, Team Nexus.
Oh, wait. The main event was Sheamus against Randy Orton. According to you people, the world title match?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, you wrestling experts that know more than everybody else. The world title match is always the main event. Don't take it any other way than how it was intended.
Team Nexus versus Team WWE, which I boldly predict will include The Miz.
Oh, good for you. I'm going to pick Team Nexus.
Morrison, Kali's off the team. Morrison, Jericho, Edge.
Well, there goes all the Bombay buys. Right?
Will there
They just
be...
lost 1 million buys because of that.
Will there be a nexus to this whole Nexus story come Sunday? Will we see who their higher power is finally this Sunday at SummerSlam? Will we see that be significant enough to cause
We
a
won't
win for
see-
Nexus?
We might not see the higher power until Monday Night Raw. Make them tune in. No, it's not going to be Vince. It's going to be...
Cena?
I
You're
think
still
it-
riding that train, huh?
Absolutely.
How anticlimactic was it for Jericho and Edge to rejoin the team at the end of Raw this past Monday? Now, Sacramento ate it up. That was a hot crowd. Hottest crowd I've seen in a very long time in Sacramento, which is great. But it was just like, oh, all right. Now, they kept it all spinning for a while to keep you engaged and interested leading up to right before SummerSlam, which is smart. But a point somebody made, I think it was on our Twitter account, is, okay, if this is Team WWE versus the Nexus, then why aren't they swimming on over to SmackDown and picking some good people from there as well?
Because Nexus has interfered on SmackDown.
Doesn't matter. If it's a threat to WWE overall, as we're being
But
sold to believe,
Raw
then
is a different entity than SmackDown.
I didn't think you were aware of that due to your discussions frequently about Cody Rhodes' lack of presentation on Raw.
And that's why he's on SmackDown. He's in a smaller pond. Smaller fish, smaller pond.
Nexus or WWE?
I already told you.
I don't
Nexus.
Will there be a reveal? No. You said
Well,
Monday.
no, because Ken Anderson is in TNA right now.
It's got to be Nexus. You know what?
It has to be. They have too much money invested into them.
We got a problem.
We got the same matches?
All but one.
What is it?
The Kane Mysterio match.
Well, then who wins by outside interference?
I deliberately didn't.
Okay, that's fine. You can be wrong. I'll be 5-0.
5 matches. This SummerSlam's looking pretty weak, to be
You're
honest with you.
finally getting it. You are.
Getting what?
You're finally following. Not just on Twitter, David Hero, of course, but now the predictions.
We will have a live post show right after WWE
gonna
SummerSlam. I'm sorry?
Are we going to be live?
We're going to be live
Where?
at pwrshow.com.
Beautiful.
Be sure to tune in for all the highlights and results of WWE SummerSlam right after the pay-per-view this Sunday from the Pro Wrestling Report. And as we said earlier, we're going to be returning to the radio airwaves Monday night, our regularly scheduled time for the next couple of weeks. Monday night, 10 o'clock p.m. Central, 11 o'clock Eastern, and our very special guest.
I'm looking for it.
Maybe you can shed a little bit of light, on this whole Twittergate scandal.
Oh, you really can't talk about it.
Our very special guest this Monday night, returning to the show, is Mr. Anderson. Ken Anderson will be our
We got to
guest.
fix that before it gets there.
We've got all kinds of people working on that.
All right.
Will be our guest Monday night, ESPN Radio, the wrestling broadcast radio show voted the best. And tune in on Monday night. We'll be streaming live at pwrshow.com as well. As we said, David, in just a couple of weeks, it's the season premiere of PWR Primetime. Look for some pretty exciting changes coming with that program, and that's all we're going to say for now. So,
That's all the people need to know?
a la Baron von Raschke. For the Octavius, David Hero, and everybody else. This is Damian Nelson saying thanks for tuning in to the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime.